Wild almonds, for example, are deathly poisonous to human beings. You know, what does
I didn't
cyanide
know
taste
that.
like?
Yep.
Almonds.
Almonds. One of our closest friends in this space. We don't quite need this paper, but we'll still use it as a guiding light because otherwise producer is going to give me evil looks. Kurush, how do I describe Kurush? I mean, obviously anthropologist.
Eats, feeds, and digs.
Eats, feeds and licks.
Digs.
Digs. Oh, I'm sorry. I was at eats, drinks, and licks. I was like, sounds like. the
Does
usual
all of
pla-
that too.
Should questioning what you eat become a norm?
That's like saying, should existence be a norm?
Okay.
Or should we all kind of just wake up, turn on the warm water, and slit our wrists?
Yeah. No. But valid in the sense, there's a lot of people who don't. Everything, whatever they give, they think is fine. And now, if because of social media and other influencers, and we all call part of ourselves part of that ecosystem, if we are told by these people that this is great food, then people think it's great food. I've run a thought experiment on this on my own, just to say, and I won't tell which particular piece it was. Dog shit I ate, and I said it was fantastic. And
No,
then,
my term is usually interesting,
yeah, no, I'm
which is my polite way of saying,
yeah,
I would rather
yeah,
have taken a blunt spoon and pulled my tonsils out.
yeah. But the question is then, should we question the people that are questioning the food? Do we question?
So let me put it to you this way. Let me really put on the culinary anthropologist hat for a change and not be my usual frivolous self. There are three things you have to do to exist. Just three things. Breathe, completely and totally involuntary. You actually cannot stop yourself from breathing. You can hold your breath, you will pass out, your hindbrain takes over, back to normal.
You're back on.
Sleep. You think you can beat it. You can't. At some point, you crash. And you very, very rarely ever die. You just crash, pass out, give everybody a lot of grief, get hospitalized probably, if you're really unlucky. But sleep happens. Eat, consume. It's the only voluntary thing. Now, if out of the three things for existence, you don't want to have good quality of air, which everybody wants. So we're all talking about pollution in Delhi and
The
whatever else.
environment, yes.
You definitely want a comfortable place to sleep in. You don't want to be out in the sleet in your swimming costume, right? And why then would you not question what you're ingesting?
Fair point. I think that was. I think that's a clear answer.
At the same time, human beings eat more things than any other living organism. There is no other organism that eats as much as we do in variety. So human beings have this bizarre inbuilt mechanism called neophilia, and a small portion of us have something called neophobia. So neophobia is the desire to seek out the new. And this has led to the fact that humans eat a greater variety of things than any other species on this planet. We don't have a comprehensive list of all the different things that human beings eat. We're so continuously adding to it and so finding out that there are things we ate that we found out that ate things that we didn't know. So this desire for the new is a desire that sometimes leads us down very rocky roads. Some of the choices that we've made in the past with our food have been so scary it's not funny. Wild almonds, for example, are deathly poisonous to human beings. What does cyanide taste like?
Yep.
Almonds. So, who was the first person who took a risk with one tree that was weird enough to have kind of cancelled out that gene or to have stopped producing cyanide. So, logically, when you want to think about it anthropologically, probably some poor farmer's cow ate those fruits and he was like, oh my God, my cow's going to die and didn't die.
This was in Kazakhstan, right? Because apples originated in Kazakhstan, no?
I'm not going to go down that road of what originated where. So, and then when enough cows ate those fruits and didn't die, he tried them out. And we domesticated the almond by doing that. Very weird. There are so many things that we eat for the thrill of it. Puffer fish.
Yeah.
It's actually pretty tasteless. You eat it only for the risk.
Yeah, the
That
fugu.
one in so many will die.
I want to quickly come back. Yes or no? Kazakhstan apple, true? Not true? Maybe.
Maybe. Domestication,
America, we were
possibly.
taught Johnny Appleseed. Is the one who-
Johnny Appleseed actually reversed the process.
Oh, okay.
Johnny Appleseed was a disruptor, which very few people know.
I mean,
He was hated by the entire Apple lobby. All the Apple farmers would have rather wrung Johnny Appleseed's neck than anything else. He took apple seeds and scattered them all across the United States.
yeah.
Again, something that most people who eat don't know is that apples have a built-in self-defense mechanism to not breed true. So if you take this beautiful, luscious, red,
Red delicious. Yeah.
delicious or whatever, and you take out its seeds and plant it, you won't get the same fruit. Biologically, they are trained to modify themselves in their seeds that they bear. Which is why all the apples that you buy or all the pears that you buy are grafted, like all the mangoes that you buy. You will not get the same mango.
Right.
So this is an inbuilt defense mechanism to avoid being eradicated by having just one gene set.
This got into my next question, but you answered it now. So it was like science, nutrition, biology, anthropology all merge. I'm like in the apple conversation.
Right there.
Well done.
Thank you.
Preemptive.
Preemptive strike.
Very shocked and awe of you.
Thank you.
Do you think the youth of this country need to study about food? And what will they miss out if they don't?
I think every single individual in this country, first of all, needs a crash course in food, irrespective of who they are. The urban elite need it first. Because if they don't get it, the laws will not change, because the lawmakers will not give a damn, because the public that elects them doesn't know either way. So all of us who live in cities are food parasites. Each and every one of these people in this room, and I'll be very happy to be proven wrong, are food parasites. They do not grow their own staple food.
But that's how modernity, that's the modern world
No,
is.
no,
We've
no,
gone
no,
into
no,
different
no.
sections.
How many farmers in the country? Percentage?
I'm assuming about 30, 35%?
No, about 50%.
50%? Did not know that.
And that's like really low numbers these days and going down. There's always been a very small elite which doesn't grow food and which therefore does what is called craft specialization. And a massive base which consumes those crafts and whose surplus feeds the elite. That is civilization. Today, fewer and fewer people farm. And something that you've got to understand in a country like India is that we, all of us, live off farm surplus, which means that after the basic farmer has got what he needs for the year, whatever more he's grown is out there in the market so that he can buy his other commodities that he needs. And that is your food.
So which country do you think has a system which is closer to the system you are?
So there is nothing, there is no such thing so far. For example, the United States has massive acreages under food. So much so that they regularly pay their farmers not to farm, so as to not upset the international price of commodities.
Sure.
So a very, very small fraction of Americans farm, but they farm on a scale that is gargantuan. At the same time, land ownership in India is something that every generation breaks down to smaller parcels. And smaller parcels become non-viable. And then you have people moving out of the farmlands into the cities. And very often those plots are not farmed in their absence. So we are actually bringing down the land under cultivation. And we have used seed and other means to bump up production in the reduced land that we have. At some point, in a beautifully Malthusian scenario, if all the farmers in India decide to stop growing surplus, We'll either have to steal their food, then they will die and we will die after that, or we will all die to start off with. And this is something that we got to understand, that the wars that are taking place today are not taking place because of some ideological reasons. Putin is not in Ukraine because he doesn't like, Ukrainian borscht versus Russian borscht. He's there because Ukraine is the breadbasket of Europe.
Yes.
Because the wheat, barley, and sunflower that Ukraine grows, Putin wants.
Right, yeah. And other than also the Slava
So
Russia.
if you don't know this, you're blind to this, and you end up eating a product which is force produced and which has less and less nutritive value.
True.
This is one of the major reasons why we need to learn about food.
Now, the thing is, with all the questions that I have here, we could do 3 podcasts with Kurush. So I
We
have
could do
to-
30.
Yeah, we should. We should consider another takeaway from Seeti before we get into that is to create a series of conversations and
And put it out there and
put it out there.
Yes.
And figure out a format for it.
So I'm very grateful to the two of you. To be very honest. I would not have been part of this kind of a conclave, workshop even 10 years ago. A, because I wasn't putting out enough data to be recognized. And B, because most people in the food space didn't want to hear this. One of the first people, and for whom I have a lot of love and respect, who wanted to have chefs hear me was Manjeet Gill. And he called me to Vika and then to IFCA to talk about the other side of food. There was also Chef Thiru at Vaksha. And these are the people who are trying to be the change. They're trying to be the elder statesman and say, things need to change. At the same time, we are looking at big business changing the way we eat, where you can no longer grow food, the seed for which comes out of the crop that you grow. That is an incredibly fearful scenario. Imagine 1 or 2 or half a dozen companies that control all the food grain that will be sold next year. And what if they decide to pull out of the Indian market? Where are we going to find our food grain?
Yeah.
To sow. Forget about eating. We could become a client state overnight. I'm sorry to sound so
No.
doomsday scenario kind of thing. It's because we are just so oblivious, so completely oblivious. And we talk about sometimes things not out of malice, but out of ignorance. When we talk about how much protein there is in dal, dal is not a protein. Dal is a complex carbohydrate. It has more protein than a cereal. It's not a protein. Protein is meat, fish, chicken, eggs. That's protein. Insects, that's protein.
That brings me to a very particular question that I think you had written down. Because we want to, like I said, we don't want this to become just a baitak. It has to have actionable items. So we're really proud to say that the few things that happened today have been phenomenal. So the rice, immediately orders went out. That rice has been acquired and it's spreading. Let's see what happens there. The other one is business advice given to a chef and possibly bring them onboarding. So we hope more actionable items come from him.
So, 2 parts. I've had a lot of people come up to me and say, we'd like to engage with you further. And we think there are conversations we'd like to have and platforms on which we'd like you to speak. So that's the academic culinary anthropology takeaway as far as I'm concerned. The second part of it is, I've heard some people speak who I would have never heard speak in a very frank manner and share with the honesty that they did. And fearlessly stick to their guns, whether it was politically correct or not. For example, Manjeet Gill, Manish, of course, the youngsters, Oruni and Chia, and so many more.
And it also begins our journey into the rapid fire round. So, rapid fire. 1, going straight from protein to another very important question about proteins and Parsis. Eggs.
Oh,
What's with it?
we are very pro baby, protein, pro middle age, and pro old age about eggs. Eggs are probably the biggest renewable source of protein you have per se. Coming from Persia, a land which has a short growing season, where it's essentially meat, which is your protein, and most of your foods are dried, dehydrated, or wheat. What is your renewable protein that you can grow with the minimum input? So on your kitchen waste, in your backyard, it's chickens. When do you eat chickens? When they stop laying eggs.
Okay.
Otherwise, you eat a lot of eggs. So eggs become a hugely renewable resource. And because you eat them so often in so many different walks of life, they become something that you cherish in your diet.
So what was necessity just became fashion and just became
Fashion,
part.
what necessity
Became soul food.
Became the norm.
completely. And when there's eggs,
There is no other. The Thai, maybe to a certain degree, I will say have the same love for it. Not as much as the Parsis, but similar. Bengal, to a certain degree, will have more
more
egg.
deem, yes.
Yeah, maybe even marginally close. Outside, I don't think so. I've not the Middle East, not so much.
Not
even
so much.
Iran, not anymore.
The Australians.
Aussie, yeah, they put the burger. They put fried eggs on their burgers.
Yeah, they have a steak and ice
Steak
cream
and-
breakfast, which has
Yeah.
eggs on it. Not
Yeah.
the ice cream, the steak.
Yeah.
The Americans. I mean, Obama's famous, very open deal that for breakfast every day he ate 6 fried eggs.
Yeah.
That's what kept him going through the
Eggs,
day.
yeah, but I'm saying eggs in a lot of things.
Like
Edu,
part
edu,
of-
in
Can you bake without eggs?
no,
It's not a cake without eggs, it's a bread,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
So, similarly, there are so many products in which you will put eggs
I
in once
knew
you
we would get into a long debate on a rapid fire with you.
No, but
I knew it.
again,
But
egg as an ingredient or egg as the hero. That's the difference.
yeah,
think of this as egg as a secret agent.
okay, done. James Bond eggs. When someone tells you the best coffee comes
Eggs
from
Bond.
American coffee,
Egg Bond.
sorry. When somebody tells you that the best coffee comes from an American coffee chain, okay, let me rephrase this. If somebody tells you Starbucks is the best, you say,
Good for them.
greatest books of all time for reading about food's past.
Michael Pollan for sure. The Omnivore's Dilemma.
Yeah, fantastic.
Can't beat that one.
Yeah. Closing this out, last thing, what is your takeaway from Seeti and how do we make it better?
And why did you think you were going to be part? Why did you think you were invited?
Yeah.
I was invited.
Let's start one. Why do you think you
So
were
I
invited?
was invited because of 2 things. Number 1, Sid is my friend.
Oh.
And I'm completely shameless about it. That's why I was invited. Number 2, Sid is also smart.
You're accused of worse things.
Yes. We're accused of worse things, I'm sure. He knows that imposter syndrome or whatever, I'm the only person who does what I do in food in India today.
Very true.
And I usually call a spade a bloody shovel. So that definitely works for any organized meeting of people who would otherwise like to be polite. I have virtually no skin in the game. I can be obnoxious, brutal, sarcastic, and completely, iron fist in a chainmail glove if I want to. And
But
that
that's
always-
what makes us friends.
yeah, and that's what adds always to the fun in
Yeah.
any meeting.
And that's why you were invited.
So
Because you
that was reason 2.
came, but you were invited for reason 1. 2. Sorry,
So
not
you
1.
said, I know, it's okay. You can't take that back.
No, I can. I can. Totally.
Thank you.